You know, these guys are kind of flying under the radar. They did win their division last year. How about Ryan Fitzpatrick? He's kind of this guy that keeps finding himself without a home, and then he ends up somewhere, and he plays really competitive football, makes the people around him better. So I think you look at Washington and say Ryan Fitzpatrick would be a great guy. Think about the deal he signed in Miami, 2 years, $13.5 million. You know, you're not paying an arm and a leg for him, and I think you get good quarterback play.
I think that is such an important point. I want you to look at these numbers on the screen. Cindy, leave them up there a second. Ryan Fitzpatrick, over the last 3 seasons, has a better QBR than Deshaun, a better completion percentage than Tom Brady, more yards per attempt than Russell Wilson, and a higher touchdown percentage than Dak Prescott. In other words, what we're trying to say here is, while no one pays any attention to it at all, this is not, you know, your grandfather's Ryan Fitzpatrick, the guy that we always used to think was incredibly inconsistent and made the huge mistakes and everything else. He's been a genuinely terrific quarterback the last couple of years, and no one takes it seriously. So I think the point I'm trying to make here, Kimberly, is, and I made this point on the radio a couple of weeks ago, in this game of quarterback musical chairs, someone is going to wind up with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and their fans are not going to be excited about it. But those numbers suggest there's an argument to be made that they're actually winding up with an excellent quarterback. Kimberly, what do you think?
As somebody who has watched Fitzmagic in person, I love it. In year one, as long as you keep him for 1 year, he's great. What we saw in Miami, put up great numbers. But more importantly, he was a great guy for Tua. I know at the end of the season there were some hurt feelings about being benched for Tua and all that, but Ryan Fitzpatrick, the guy belongs in a Canton just for the fact that he is still playing. And everywhere he goes, he seems to reignite his career. In Washington, you know, their QB situation between Haskins and Alex Smith, who is still coming back from the leg situation, and Tyler Heineke, they have him. But Ryan might actually be a decent fit, a 1-year rental, if you will, because he's a good locker room guy, and you know he's going to take a young team and just show them how to do the job, and then you get rid of him.
Well, look, Mike Tannenbaum, Hembo put the numbers up there. The Washington football team had the worst quarterback play of any team in the NFL last year. They still went 7-9 because that defense is that good. You put a guy like Ryan, I don't know what their other options are, but you put a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick on there, to me it becomes a very interesting situation. Mike T, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. You win for today with Ryan Fitzpatrick and that top 5 defense. You're also developing Tyler Heineke maybe for tomorrow, so it makes a ton of sense. I think they would compete with Dallas, assuming that Dak Prescott is back for the division. Like you said, it's a really, really good defense. They got a couple really intriguing young skill players in Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson. So this makes a ton of sense to me. It's a little bit under the radar, and they already signed Heineke to an extension, which I like. So this really fits, checks a lot of boxes for both sides.
And to, Tim, just to finish it up where we began it, which is with you, whether it is Washington or somewhere else, and we were just asking you to largely to guess here, I think the larger point is the one that I made when I was asking Kimberly. Some team is going to sign Fitzpatrick. Their fans are not going to rejoice about it. But the truth is they're getting a much better player than they realize. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. And Greeny, you said, you know, I don't know what the other options are. Look, maybe you're talking about Cam Newton. Maybe you're talking about a trade for Gardner Minshew. That's what you're talking about. With where Washington's picking in the draft, they'll probably lose out on some of these guys coming out. And so, yeah, and then throw in the contract. Look, I just said he signed a 2-year, $13.5 million deal in Miami. So you're not talking about paying him anywhere near starter money. You're just not. And so, yeah, good quarterback play, cheap contract, and by the way, a great leader and guy in the locker room.
Absolutely. And with all due respect to Cam Newton, who's had a sensational career, you watch the two of these guys play last season. There's no comparison. No comparison between what Ryan Fitzpatrick looks like he has left right now and what Cam does. So we will see. I think that is an intriguing one to keep a close eye on.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.